Is there also James or Jim?
Yeah, James, that's my husband.
Oh, that's your husband now? So he's telling me he knows about Jim, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Oh my God.
You had your stepfather that had passed away.
Yes.
Okay. And also, hold on, there's another soul that's also here with me. And I tell you, there's a lot of souls that are with you today. There's a lot. I also have a soul that's here. I keep feeling a significant other that's also here.
Yes.
It's on the other side.
Yes. That was my ex.
Okay. He's also here. So I have your grandmother here. I have that stepfather that's here that had passed. Because right away he talked about circulation issues within his body. And he's also telling me about the fact that it started to affect his head before his passing. And then also off to the side, I have your significant other here. Now, what's crazy is that even though that was your ex-husband here in this world, he's still here and with you. And this reading is basically all about him. So these souls are here to identify themselves, but he keeps coming through and saying, I'm the one she really needs to hear from. I'm the one she really needs to hear from.
Yes.
And by the way, he's so funny. I love when souls come through their personality, because right away he's going to be Matt. I would have never done this before. He goes, I didn't like to talk about myself like this. That's not how I was. He goes, I knew that mediums existed. I knew the other side existed. He says, but I just wouldn't talk about myself. He goes, I was the type of person that used to like to be low key. He's like, I used to like to be in the background. I didn't like to be the front and center and talking about my life.
Yes.
And also, I got to be honest with you. When I'm connecting with him, he showed me back memories that he had with you here in the physical world. And he shows me that you had a true love with him here in this world. He says, Matt, I truly did love her here in this world. He shows me that when I'm connecting with him, that he was planning on marrying you, that he was planning on being with you. He says, and we did. He says, we went through those steps. He says, but there was one thing that I didn't do. He says, Matt, I'm ashamed, he says, of some of the choices that I made in my life here in this world.
Yes.
And that's what he wants to come through and talk about. I got to be honest with you. I could be here all day. I'm asking him to go into wrap up and tell me the key points.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you this. When I'm speaking to him, he says to me, Matt, you need to apologize to her because I kept secrets from her here in this world, he tells me. And he shows me him hiding alcohol here in the physical world and substances when I'm speaking to him.
Yes.
And this is really sad because I see that you knew something was wrong with him here in this world. You knew he was not himself. You knew he wasn't right. And it was really sad because I see that you tried to hold on to this relationship here in this world, but you felt like he was changing right before your eyes and there was nothing you could do.
Yes, exactly.
He says to me, Matt, you need to let her know that I did change here in this world. He says, my personality changed, my moods changed, I changed, but there was one thing that always remained. He says, my love for her. And that's why I have to come through now. When I tell you guys that sometimes souls aren't ready, I got to tell you, it took a long time for him to come through because there's a lot of unfinished business between the two of you.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to tell you that what's really sad about this is that even though the two of you had been separated here in this world, he tells me that he always loved you and you always loved him.
Mm-hmm.
He says, but he says to me, Matt, there was one thing that I'm ashamed about. He tells me that he let other people come in between you and come in between him here in this world.
Yes.
He says, and Matt, everybody thought that they knew best for me, but they didn't because I was hiding things that no one knew.
Mm-hmm. I knew.
You knew, but he wouldn't admit it. Do you understand that?
Yeah, he lied straight to my face.
Listen, when I tell you that that's how he was, I got to tell you something. This man could have passed a lie detector test here in this world.
Yes.
When I'm connecting with him, it's funny how souls come through. When he was so like laid back and like kept to himself and like mental, like there was a lot of things talking to this man here in this world. It was very hard to get information out of him. Like he tells me if he was here, right here with us right now, and word wasn't passed over, he would have denied everything. You would have never gotten the truth. You've been waiting your whole life after his passing to hear what actually happened with him. And he said to me, Matt, he says, I want her to know that I destroyed my life. I destroyed my life. I destroyed our relationship. He says, I destroyed everything. He says, and what he wants to let you know is that he wants to thank you for forgiving him because he said to me, Matt, he says, after I died, you already forgave him. You tell him in your mind and talk to him all the time and tell him how much you love him, how much you care about him, all of these things. And you feel his soul with you.
I do.
Do you know that he tells me this? The one thing that I need to let her know is that she lost me even before I died. He says, and I lost myself.
Yeah.
But he wants to let you know that here in this world, he's coming through right now to let you know that he is watching over you every day. And more importantly, he says, Matt, what the way that I think of her is not the way she is now. He thinks of you as back when you were really young here in this world with him. He tells me that like you were the couple to be back in the day. He says, you don't understand. He says, Matt, she was so hot. She was so hot. He's telling me.
Yeah.
And that's what he used to say. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you're not hot right now. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm telling you what he's telling me.
Oh.
He says to me, and Matt, he goes, you're going to understand. He says, he goes, in my life, he says, I was just somebody that was always on edge. He tells me he had a really hard time with anxiety, with panic, with worry. He said, so he used to take things and do things to try to keep himself mellow and cool-headed and all of these things.
Yes, he was a hothead.
I know. But a lot of times people wouldn't see that because they would see the things that he was taking. Because when I'm connecting with him, even though he had all this anxiety and all this panic and all these things, when you would talk to him for the first time, you would think that he was low level, cool, calm, collected, but he was secretly taking things throughout your relationship with one another.
Yes, I know.
And that's what's so tough. So he tells me this. He wants to thank you for the way that you had gone and tried to stay connected to his family. He wants to let you know that his family truly did love you here in this world. And what's really sad is that if they knew what you knew, they would have treated you better here in this world.
Oh,
That's
goodness.
what he tells me.
Yeah.
Because his family was in denial right up to the time in which he had died.
Yes.
So know that he wants to let you know that he is truly sorry, that he is there and with you, and that every day that goes by, he's watching over you. I'm also hearing, is there also James or Jim?
Yeah, James, that's my husband.
Oh, that's your husband now?
Yeah.
Shut the hell up. So he's telling me he knows about Jim, and I'm like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
James. Oh my God.
So know that it's his way of letting you know that, and this is what comes up, right? Sometimes people are like, oh my God, I wonder if they know I'm in another relationship. I wonder if they know I'm remarried.
Yes, I always thought that. Oh my God, does he know I'm with James? James is a wonderful person.
Well, I hope so. You're married to him. Isn't that crazy, you guys? So he just said to me, say, James, so know that one of the things is that this is his way of letting you know that while you're married to your husband right now, he sees that, but also he's not upset. Because he sees that, and he says to me, Matt, he goes, I got to be honest with you. He tells me your husband spoils you. He tells me your husband does not say no to you here in this world.
Never.
He says to me, and Matt, she gets to do what she wants. He says she gets to spend what she wants. He goes, her husband is the opposite of me. He says, he says to me this. He says that you have an amazing husband, an amazing guy. And he says to me, Matt, he goes, here in this world, I would have never said that. He says, because I would have been too protective, jealous. He says, and envious here in this world to ever admit she could go and be with somebody else and that they would be better than me. But he sees the relationship that you have with your husband. He says, and Matt, he says, I am so happy to see her finally finding love and finally having someone within her life. Because after his passing, he tells me that he broke you. He tells me that you suffered for so many years. And even though the relationship had dissolved, and even though it was no more, it still hurt you beyond belief. He said to me, and then James came into your life and fixed all that pain.
He did.
So, you know what's so crazy?
Wow.
All right, this is weird. This doesn't really happen to me, all right? But sometimes souls will like come through in different ways, like to get a message through. And you know that song by Cher, Believe?
Yes.
If you believe in love and
yes, do you believe in love?
Yeah, that's what he's coming through and like telling me. He's like, you know, he says, Matt, he says, I'm so happy that she was able to find love again because she thought that it was impossible, he tells me.
I did.
He says to me, there's one thing you need to know. This was a message from him because he needs you to know that it's okay to live your life in that way. And that what's so hard is that even though you love your husband so much, you felt so unresolved with him because you still felt like, well, maybe I could have helped him. Maybe I could have saved him. Maybe there was something else I could have done. He tells me no. And I gotta be honest with you. I know that his soul helped you to meet your husband today.
Oh my God, he would have never done that.
You're gonna know this, that on the other side, when your loved ones pass away, right? They have a different perspective. They leave behind the anger, the hurt, the pain, all of the things that they dealt with here in this world, because those are human things, right? And they go and they look at us through a different lens. So no, it's his way of letting you know. He knows about your relationship with James. He knows about the love that you have, and him and your grandmother, all right, and your stepfather are all there watching over you in spirit.